Hello, everyone. I'm so excited you're here with us today. I think I say this about every single community event, but I'm really the most excited about this one that we're having today because we have Veronica Hash from Coinbase. She's the head of belonging. She's going to tell us all about the projects, the recognition, the wonderful, amazing things that she does at Coinbase. And trust me, it's a lot. So get ready for some amazing content. Before we bring her up and before we bring our CEO, Lisa Conn, up to help facilitate the conversation, I want to know a little bit about you first. So tell me, what is your familiarity with Gatheround? I want to know what to tell you today to make sure you have a great experience in this event. So have you hosted a Gatheround before? Is this your first time ever? Maybe you've participated in a session or two, but not hosted yourself. Let me know. Also, welcome to everyone joining right now. Okay, a lot of first timers. That's great. Well, I'm honored to be here for your first time. A couple things to know. So I can't see and hear you yet. I can just see one person on camera and mic me right now. But later you are going to have camera and mic in your breakouts. We're going to do some group sharing in this room. And you're going to have the opportunity to turn on your camera and mic if you want to a little bit later. The other thing I want you to know, use the chat as much as you want to today to respond to what your speakers are saying, to what each other is saying. Use that as a place to connect. And then just next to that, we also have our celebration button or confetti button. So let's all open that up right now, just so I know where you know where it is. And let's do either the love or the thanks reaction to thank Veronica and Lisa for hosting an amazing conversation today. I love it. I love to see it. Thank y'all. Okay. And then last but not least, you're going to be making some new friends today, which I'm extra excited about. So I want to save us all a little time on introductions. So all together, let's do this. Let's go up to the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner. That's your settings icon. You're going to go to your name tag when you open that up. And then you'll see something that says, what would you like to be called today? And right now it probably says your first name, maybe your last name. I want you to add any other identifiers that you want other people to know about you. So that could be your role at work, that could be the company you're representing, could be the city you live in or your pronouns, whatever you want people to know about you, go ahead and add that there. So I'm going to say Marcy Walker, Denver, Gatheround, and then press save. Perfect. Okay. I see a bunch of people's names changing in the chat, so that is a good sign. All righty. Well, without further ado, I want to bring up your host, Lisa Conn. Lisa, do you mind turning your camera on and saying hi to the people?
I don't mind.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. This is so fun. Marcy, thank you for organizing this and making this happen.
Always.
Veronica, so excited to chat more, hear from all of you that are here. Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Conn, co-founder and CEO of Gatheround. And this is a dream scenario for me because I actually met Veronica right when the pandemic started. I think it must have been like May of 2020. She was at Coinbase then in a different role. And we're going to hear all about her journey in just a little bit. And she immediately was one of these people within Coinbase that knew everybody. I don't know if you remember this, Veronica, but we met and then I went to bed, woke up the next day, and you had introduced me to maybe 30 other people because you were clearly such a glue and such a kind of cultural hub of your company and of your organization. So it makes complete sense that belonging is now the thing that you are tasked with creating for others. So really excited to hear your journey, how you do it. We're going to go through all of that. But I'm curious for those of you that are here today, we'll type in the chat and maybe tell me what company are you part of? What role do you have? I'd love to get a sense of that. And then I want to do a quick poll and get a feel for how this word belonging fits or doesn't fit into your own company. Do you have a person at your company, maybe it's you, maybe it's someone else, who has the word belonging in their title? Because I think it is a unique and special and important thing. And we'll dig into why I feel that way. So quick poll here. Does your company have anyone with the word belonging in their title? Is belonging like a thing that people are responsible for? I know we do have Coinbase folks that are here. So you obviously do. But this is super interesting. Okay, so people are still responding to the poll. Majority of you do not have folks with belonging in the title. A handful of you don't have belonging in the title, but you have something similar. Put in the chat and tell us, those of you that answered no, but we have something similar, what's similar to belonging in your minds and what title do folks have? Some of you have one person with belonging in their title, and then a number of you have more than one person with belonging in their title. Really, really interesting. We're going to do some, at the end of this whole session, some key takeaways, some next steps, and maybe thinking about that word as sort of part of people's titles and responsibilities might be something that we think about. I'm curious, when you all think about the word belonging, it is obviously a core human need. We as humans have been organizing ourselves into groups for centuries, for millennia, actually. And we do that because we have this deep, intrinsic need to belong. Something I think a lot about is the role of community in our society. And it's been people's membership to communities have really drastically declined over the last 70 or so years. There are fewer and fewer community groups. There are fewer civil society organizations. There are fewer communities you can be part of in your hometown. And more, the communities that really matter to people are their work communities. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. It's something for us to talk about today. But I'm curious to hear from you all what belonging means to you in the workplace. And the way that I'm going to hear from you all is through a feature called Group Share. So you were warned when you signed up for this that you're going to be asked to participate. Thank you in advance for doing that. Really love to hear from you, and we're going to make it really, really easy. But I'm going to pop up this module. This thing's going to pop up, and it's going to ask you all a question, which is, what does it mean to you to belong in the workplace? And if you'd like to answer that question, it's going to form a little line on the left-hand side, and it'll bring you up one by one to respond to that question. And you'll have 45 seconds to do so. I will be up here with you, so you won't be all alone. Don't be scared. And I'm really, really curious what the word belonging means to you. What does it mean to you to belong in the workplace? Be like Veronica, who's already joined, hit join activity. And this little line is forming, and it's going to start to bring you up as you're seeing. And I'll be here by your side. Amazing. Look at this beautiful cue. Jules is up first. ERG lead. Amazing. Hello. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet everyone.
Okay, tell us, what does belonging, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to belong in the workplace?
For me, what it means to belong in a workplace is that you're in a place where you can bring your authentic self. You can say, you are not afraid to say something, because you know that the people that you talk to will hear about it and they will listen. That for me is belonging.
Yeah,
belonging.
It sounds like it's tied to safety and feeling safe, being heard. So you see here what Jules is doing. You kind of fade to black when the next person comes up. The next person up is Joshua. Hi, so nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So what does it mean to you to belong in the workplace?
I think Jules kind of nailed it, honestly. That was what I was going to say. Being able to bring your authentic self and your real energy into the workplace without feeling like you have to hide anything.
Yeah, it's so exhausting to have to hide who you are. Love that. Thank you. Next up is Joyce.
Hello. For me, belonging is feeling being accepted for who I am, being comfortable around my workplace with my colleagues, enjoying time with them, and just sharing random small talks with them.
Yeah, connecting as human beings. Yeah, we spend so much of our time at work as adults, and if we can't do that, it's really no fun. Thank you. Awesome.
Hello, hi everyone. Yes, so belonging for me is when I work in a company where I can share my feelings in my personal and professional life with my managers and leaders. And also belonging is when I have a career development, considering my blockers and my reality, not compare myself with others. So I think when I have this structure in my company, I feel more belonging in the company as well.
That's so interesting, like the uniqueness of your feedback, the uniqueness of your
Exactly.
Sort of tailored and tied to you. It makes you feel seen.
Exactly.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Next up is Jessica, who gets to live in Hawaii. Jealous. Hi.
Hi. So for myself, I think that feeling connected to the team, as well as being respected and supported as well.
Beautifully said. Respect, connection, support. Yes, I love it. Thank you. We have folks from all over the world. This is so cool. Hi.
Hey Lisa, for me, belonging is the workplace where you're heard, where your point of view matters the most, regardless from where you are.
Yeah, it's almost like a meritocracy. Like the ideas, the skills, those are what matter more than how senior you are, what you look like, your location. That makes you feel like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you. Love that. We got Martha. Okay, we're skipping Martha. Martha, I don't know if you skipped yourself or if I accidentally skipped you, but if I did, you can rejoin by hitting join activity up top. Hello. Well, you're in a cubicle.
I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so feeling like I belong at work means that I'm comfortable being myself. I'm able to speak my mind and I feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah, and feeling safe at work, there's so much evidence that that's tied to better work outcomes and productivity and all that stuff. So important. Thank you. We love Webflow. Hi, Anna.
Hello there.
Hi.
So belonging for me, I think, is not just being able to connect with your team, but connect with people across your company.
Yeah.
So you don't feel so isolated.
Yeah.
So having those different groups and people and ways to connect with people outside of your team that also want to know about you personally and how your personal life and goals and dreams and things like that are affecting.
You find ERGs are very helpful for creating those cross-company connections. Yeah, especially along a shared identity. It's so important. Awesome. Thank you. Love that. And the woman of the hour, Veronica.
You guys will hear a lot about what I think what it means to belong in the workplace. But for me personally, it means that I can actually let down my guard and reveal my, my weaknesses and be vulnerable. And I really, really appreciate when I can do that and when others around me feel the freedom and the safety to be able to do that too.
I love that. Of course, you think not only about yourself, but also about creating it for others. We'll hear more about the tactics, the policies, all the stuff. Thank you, Veronica. Natalia, hi.
Hi, how are you? Sorry, I was sending an email.
No, it's okay.
Belonging, I'm going to agree with Veronica as well. Just being your authentic self, being accepted, and being able, like for myself, I'm an ERG, so taking on additional responsibilities at work, but never feeling guilty for taking on additional responsibilities, as long as you can do well in both. So I think that defines belonging for me.
I love it. And hopefully feeling even celebrated for taking that step
on. Thank you.
Lauren comes to so many community events. It's so wonderful to see you.
Hi. I love this question. I love this topic. I'm obsessed. I think, belonging, when I really think about it in the context of being a leader, I feel like it's this immense responsibility to just like show up and to create spaces for other people, and then to see things in other people that maybe they don't even see in themselves yet, and invite them in to like really see those things. So it's like holding up a mirror sometimes, like a really good friend can do.
That's so right. Like making people feel seen doesn't necessarily only require seeing what they see. Like sometimes you can make a person feel seen by seeing things that they don't see or they haven't let themselves see, holding up a mirror. I love that. That's super beautiful. Thank you, Lauren. And Lauren and I are doing a community event together soon. So we'll let you guys all know about that one if you want to hear more from Lauren. And we've got Jordy, savant of stoke and positivity. Wow, you're cool. Amazing. Okay, what does it mean? What does belonging mean to you in the workplace?
Yeah, so for me, as a ERG lead for Color Block at Coinbase, again, I always just want to promote just positivity. I want every one of our members to be seen and heard, and know that me and the other leads that I work with are definitely advocating on their behalf, and ultimately just want to inspire people to bring their authentic self to the spaces that we create, whether that be in person or virtually. So,
do you feel like you lead by example in addition to bringing others along? You seem very yourself already in our 30 seconds together.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I want to lead by example. So
amazing. And last but not least, we have Martha. These are such interesting, beautiful answers. Thanks you guys so much. Hi, Martha.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for including me. Sorry, I tried to turn on my camera before and exited the queue, so that was my bad. Belonging for me in terms of being in action is support. So that's like my manager actually supporting me in my interests, supporting me in if it's family life that I need, extra support in, if it's, flexibility in my work schedule, if it's I'm a quiet contributor and I need my manager to be in tune with me to get the best ideas out of me and to help, amplify my voice. That is what belonging, that's how it shows up in a tangible way for me in my employee experience.
Yeah, sort of meeting people where they are and really tailoring as a theme that's come up. Well, thank you all so much for sharing that. A lot of themes that were consistent and a lot of different ideas. I think that we all probably know what it feels like when we don't belong. We know what it feels like when we don't quite fit in, we don't quite feel safe, when there's just this additional burden that showing up carries. And maybe that's not something you've ever felt in the workplace. Maybe it's been certain friend groups or at high school when you're, at the cafeteria and you don't quite know where to sit. We all in our life have felt like we don't belong. And on the other hand, I hope that all of us have felt a deep sense of belonging. Like our voice matters, like we can be ourselves, like we're safe, we're seen. And what we're going to talk about today is how in the workplace, Veronica has sort of created those conditions and what that looks like. So I'm going to change our little setting. First of all, Veronica, come on up. Turn your camera mic on, and I'm going to make a little setting adjustment so everyone can have their cameras on. You don't have to if it distracts you to be on camera, no worries. Veronica and I are going to be pinned, but if you, I like seeing people's faces. It helps me know when to move on, what to double down on. So if people feel like having their cameras on, you'll show up very small underneath us. So it's not going to be like, you're not going to be spotlit, but it is helpful, I think, for us to watch your faces. And Veronica and I are going to go through a few questions. So what's going to happen now is we're going to do about 12 minutes of kind of a fireside chat. Then we're going to have you all go into a breakout where you can talk to each other and debrief some of the incredible insights that Veronica shares. And then you'll have the chance to ask Veronica questions, and then we'll do a couple other things from there. But let's get started. Veronica, thank you for being here. This is so much fun. What an amazing group of people we have gathered today. Tell us about your time at Coinbase. What role would you start with? And I think when we met, you were in a very different role. And where are you now and how did you get there?
Excellent. Well, Lisa, Marcy, team, thank you so much for having me. As Lisa mentioned, we became pandemic friends. I always want to support my female founders. And so when Lisa started her company, which was called Icebreaker at the time, I was absolutely all for it. We needed a tool at Coinbase to help us connect virtually in the new world. And so being able to be one of the first sort of companies on board was really exciting for me. So I've been at Coinbase for 4.5 years. It'll be 5 years in October, which anybody who works at Coinbase knows that it's like dog years around here. So I've been here for a long time. I actually started as an executive assistant supporting the head of our customer experience organization. When I came to Coinbase, I had been doing the executive assistant role for about 10 years. Previous to that, I was a dancer and a choreographer, which feels like 1,000 lifetimes ago by now. But my whole goal in coming to Coinbase was, one, I believed in crypto. I absolutely had my own little crypto success story, buying Bitcoin super early, being able to sell, buy a home, and just all the things that I never thought would be possible for me. And then two, I was really excited about the possibility of like a career trajectory, because some of you know, sometimes you get in a role and it's like terminal, right? You're like, okay, I can only go so high. And I felt that with the executive assistant role. I was doing great, but I wanted to do more. And so working as an EA for about a year, and then through a mentor at Coinbase, finding out about the belonging program, and just, be ready, right? Just when opportunities come, make sure you're in a place where you're already ready to say yes to it. So I became the program manager, then the manager, and now I'm the head of belonging. So it's been a fantastic journey of 4.5 years. Very grateful. And I certainly feel like I am in my life's work. I'm definitely doing the best work of my career now, and I'm really proud of it.
That's amazing. And what about the role of belonging at Coinbase? You mentioned there's a belonging program. How did that start? What's the story?
So when I got here, we had a program called Belonging, Inclusion and Diversity, BID, and very much already had our ERGs going, not the full 7 that we have now, but we certainly had 5 fairly established employee resource groups. And honestly, we had a head of the department, we had some program staff, and it was pretty much, rolling right along. But then in 2020, things changed and shifted for Coinbase, and we saw a lot of that staff leave. And then that was my time to really step up and step in. And that's why I redefined the program to just focus on belonging at Coinbase.
Why is that? Why just belonging?
I think that belonging is universal, similar to what you said and what so many of us have said on the call. I mean, we are literally from all different walks of life. We have tons of different backgrounds, but we can all relate to this feeling of belonging or not belonging. And that's why I really wanted to focus on that as our outcome and drive the company towards that. Because I feel like if you can create an environment of belonging in your company, then you are going to have the retention, you're going to have the talent attraction, you're going to have the business results that you want to see.
Yeah, that's super interesting because in some ways belonging is actually more universal and more inclusive.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing too, that, you know, when you make a shift to focusing on belonging, you don't leave out diversity, equity, inclusion, right? You still need those things in order to create the environment of belonging. But because of the universality of belonging, what happens is, say, what if you're in an environment where it's not about racial diversity as like the diversity, right? Maybe it's about religious diversity, or maybe it's about the diversity of like your marital status or not, kids or not, your age, right? So that's why really honing in on belonging, again, I feel like just taps into what we can all kind of relate to.
Or even it's your working style. If, you know, maybe it's about neurodivergence or you're more introverted or extroverted. Maybe the culture is very engineering focused and you need to make people who are not engineers feel like they matter and they belong. Yeah, it's not always about identity in those traditional terms. And of course, there's lots of institutional stuff that we have to overcome. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So tell us more. So you talked about your goals as head of belonging, but what are some of the projects? What are some of the programs that you take on and lead to help you achieve these belonging goals?
Well, you know, my ultimate goal is kind of threefold. So when I think about belonging, the first and most important thing is I want to create and reinforce an environment where everyone feels they belong at Coinbase. The second is I want to make sure that people are meaningfully recognized for their contributions. When they go above and beyond, they get that sense of like personalized recognition from their managers. And then finally, I want to make sure that we have an environment now and in the future where we hold ourselves accountable. And when I talk about holding ourselves accountable, I mean, in an organization like Coinbase or any of the others that are on the line, where you are constantly pushing yourselves, you're moving at a fast pace, your organization is constantly growing and changing and evolving, you need to have the human factor. And that's what belonging sort of reminds us, like, hey, we're also humans here. We're not robots. We're not, you know, ones and zeros. We actually are people, like you said at the beginning, with that fundamental need to feel connected and to feel supported. So the kind of projects that I focus on to help me achieve that, first and foremost, I have a lot of our amazing employee resource group leaders on the call here. That is really what I call the action arm of belonging, right? So these are folks who are working day jobs, 1.5 jobs already, and then they take time out of their daily schedule to put on events, host talks, bring in speakers that are really going to not only just help people that identify within that community, but help the broader community as well. So employee resource groups are really paramount to the projects that I do to help me achieve this. Secondly, I really focus in on the manager and the new hire experience. So recently putting together 2 trainings, one for our sort of OG population, which you can think of these as like directors and above, and then also for our new managers. And those sessions are a little bit different in the sense that what you're giving a new manager is more of like the practical day-to-day, like this is how you do it on your team. What you're giving to the directors and above is much more of like, here's the data points, here's why this matters, this is why you need to prioritize this in your groups. And I found that to be really effective so far. And the last thing I'll say is really getting in with the new hires and letting them know right away from the beginning, we value this at work, we want you to be connected, and here are some ways that you can do that.
I have an off-script question. So we're way too small to have a formal function like this. Gatheround's 13 people. And I know in the group here, we have a variety of sizes. And one of the things that is said in startups is that the first 15 employees are the company's destiny. And that's sort of a way of saying that who you hire and the culture that they bring and the voices they bring shape the company forever. Coinbase obviously every company has a distinct culture. I would actually argue that the only thing that makes a culture bad at a company is if it's inconsistent or if it's not intentional. So I'm curious, you talked about new hire orientation and manager support, all those things. But what about like recruiting? Like, are there certain values that, like, are there certain people that just can't belong? They have certain ways of operating or certain cultural values or lack thereof, or personality types or skill sets? Like, is there anything that happens in the interview process? Like, do you guys do a culture fit interview? Because culture fit is always so scary, because are you just hiring people who you like and who are like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So I'm curious what happens before people even are selected to work at Coinbase, and is there sort of a belonging or a fit screen of any kind? Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yes. No, you're right on. So we recently have put into practice 2 sort of assessments, pre-assessments. So one being what we call Coin Sites, which is a cultural sort of test. We have 10 cultural tenets that we do believe them. Like, our CEO talks about them every 2 weeks. Like, we really are striving to be very aspirational in our culture as a company. So we have a test for that.
Yep.
We also have a hiring assessment, which is a cognitive based test. And those things can be scary on their own, right?
Sure.
Exactly like what you said. Okay, are you just hiring like to complete the bro culture around here in crypto? Like, what's really going on? And standardized testing has historically, not been great for certain populations. So what do we do with that, right? We actually have worked very closely with the company that hosts these tests for us. They've done an incredible job, like pre-screening for bias.
Yeah.
But then on the back end, we do the same thing. Right. We want to make sure, okay, are we seeing drop-offs in our process by color, by race, by ethnicity, by gender? Like, what exactly is happening? And if there is a problem, then we play that checks and balances role in belonging to raise that up the flagpole and say, hey, this looks like this is something that we need to dig into. And then whether it's recruiting or talent programs, we really do take that seriously.
Yeah. But it also does sound, I think this is really right, and it's just sort of a hard reality sometimes, that you do assess people that are bought into the cultural values and the company values. And I think that's important. Like, we can't make every single person belong if they have just completely different values, right? But once they're in, there's a confirmation that the values are aligned, and then you really can have this goal of 100% belonging.
That is the goal. Values alignment is key.
Yeah.
You're going to be different and wacky and unusual and all kind of quirks. But if you can be aligned on the values, you can get anything done.
Right. And then you actually have a shot of ensuring this kind of 100% belonging. So, okay, so people are in, they have a chance of belonging.
Yeah.
They've sort of been assessed and set up to succeed. Their new hire onboarding has gone well. Their managers are trained. The directors and above are trained. So how do you find the people who just aren't, who are kind of falling through the cracks, who don't feel like they belong? And what do you do about that?
Yeah. Well, we actually do an engagement survey.
Okay.
And we do this biannually. And the first question on the survey is, I belong at Coinbase. And people can answer that along a spectrum, right? From like strongly disagree to strongly agree. And we have seen this number go up year over year. And that's great. That shows me that the majority of the company is feeling like they belong. Now, what happens with that percentage that doesn't feel like they belong? That's where myself as belonging team, we actually do things like focus groups. We try to really understand, what are some of the things that are maybe falling through the cracks that we might not notice, and that we, again, need to run up the flagpole and say, hey, this is an issue happening in your org. We'd love to see you do this and try these different things. Someone mentioned earlier about career development as being really pivotal to belonging, feedback, having a culture of support. Those are all 3 things that we really lean into when we find people are having a lower sense of belonging, because the number one thing that actually, at least at Coinbase, drives belonging is career development. Like, people feeling supported in their growth and seeing that there's a path for them. It really does tap into that sense of belonging.
I mean, that's so interesting. It makes sense. I think belonging and purpose are really tied, right?
They are.
And in the workplace, most people are in the workplace to grow and to develop and learn. It's not just about collecting your paycheck, especially at a company like Coinbase. It's about driving towards a mission, but also having a sense of mastery and autonomy. So that makes a lot of sense.
Let me say one more thing on that real quickly. So I think what's really good too, and I've seen this and heard this anecdotally from many employees, is that, sometimes when you're a person who's one of the underrepresented folks at work, we'll just call you, there's going to be this like feeling of like tokenism, right? Like, okay, I'm here, I'm the only one. But what I've seen from a lot of employees is people are like, yeah, I might be the only one, but I know I'm here, not because I'm X, Y, and Z, but I know I'm here because I'm top talent, because Coinbase doesn't play. Like, we do not hire people that are not top talent.
Yeah.
So it kind of deals with that sense of insecurity. It deals with that sense of like, do they really want me for me? And then the last thing too is like, when you are here, like you said, for a mission and with a purpose, then that carries you through a lot of the sort of ups and downs and just day-to-day challenges that go with working in a high-paced and tech environment.
Totally. Yeah. I think about that a lot. Work is this collection of the micro moments. Like, I do think it's important, if you are someone who hates sitting at a computer all day long, don't have a job, that doesn't matter what the mission is. Because if you hate sitting at a computer all day long, or you hate, being on calls with people, whatever it is, like, it doesn't matter what the mission is. But you also need the mission, because even if you love being on video calls, doing sales all day long, or doing product development all day long, you still need this bigger thing to pull you out of it. And then I also think you need the horizontal, like you need the people. You kind of need the combination. The day-to-day needs to be right. The big picture needs to feel right. And then the sort of people around you to feel right. And you never know, day by day, week by week, which of those things is going to motivate you. All kind of have to be in place so you can lean on them in the right ways. I'm curious, because you talked about belonging, about recognition, and the role that recognition plays in belonging. How does this show up at Coinbase? Like, one thing that, we're so small, so we try to know everyone's, called your appreciation language, which is great. Do you guys ever know the love languages concept? Have you done that in a relationship? So there's a book by the same author, it's named Gary Chapman, about appreciation languages in the workplace. It turns out everyone has a different language for receiving appreciation. Not everyone likes the public shout out on the slide, right? Some people actually truly hate that. And so we try to know each individual person and what their appreciation language is, but you guys are such a larger scale. So how do you do that? How do you personalize recognition? How do you manage that?
Yeah, it's so true. As you grow, it's harder to have those connections and know what people like and what they don't like. And you're right, tailoring recognition, making it individualized and personal actually has been proven to give you positive engagement boosts, right? Up to 1.5 times even if you personalize someone's recognition. So what we're doing this year, brand new, which we're really excited about, in the engagement, I know, new. In the engagement survey, we actually asked everyone who took the survey, it was optional, they didn't have to answer this portion of it, how do you like to be recognized?
Nice.
And it was just all of those things. Do you prefer it in public or in private? Do you like to have the praise? Do you want to have opportunities to grow in your career? Would you like a tangible gift, swag? And just giving people those options and putting that into a dashboard for their managers so that it's easily accessible, whether you have a team that's 5 people or whether you have a team that's 45 people. That way, when you do, recognize someone and you see they're going above and beyond, you can just look at that dashboard and say, oh, Lisa likes to have, coffee from her favorite cafe down here. So I'm going to grab her a gift card and I'm going to send that to her virtually and say, thank you so much for that project. You crushed it. And then boom, all that goodwill is built. You've established this amazing relationship even closer with your manager, and you've pushed the employee to do even more because they're like, oh, I'm seen, I'm recognized.
Totally.
Of course I'm going to try even harder.
That's incredible and so smart. Yeah, someone referenced here, the book is called The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. Yeah, that's what it's called. And one of them is gifts. But some people don't like that at all. So I might send you my $25 gift card for your coffee, and you might be like, what the hell is this? What I really want is, a public shout out. Why won't anyone give me public praise? Right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I have so many more questions for you, and I'm sure you all have some burning questions. But what we're going to do now is take a little pause from our fireside chat. We're going to go into a little small group breakout. We'll get to meet some other people that are here today. And you'll see there's a handful of prompt cards that we've pre-designed for you to debrief what we've talked about so far, get you thinking about questions you might want to ask Veronica. Then when we come back, we're going to submit kind of an open Q&A. I'm going to ask Veronica a couple more questions. We'll pull from your questions and we'll go from there. Does that sound good, everybody? Okay. If so, I'm going to start the small group breakout now. Go ahead and hit join. You will be paired with between 3 and 4 other people. Prompt cards will be on the right. Work through those. You'll have 8 minutes and we'll see you back here when you're done. Thank you, Veronica. To be continued. This is our brief intermission. Hit join activity. See you guys back here in a few. Welcome back, everyone. Is anyone else as into that song Espresso from Sabrina Carpenter as I am? I have a toddler, and so I mostly just listen to songs like Wheels on the Bus, but she really likes Espresso also. She loves to dance to that song. So it's definitely something I listen to a lot. I know that was only 8 minutes. I'm sure you all, maybe we should have another like meetup where this group can keep talking. It's so hard to balance you all talking to each other and us getting to hear Veronica's just incredible insights and knowledge. Truly, Veronica, I am loving this so much. I want to stay with you for 2 more hours and ask you more questions. But you all just had a little breakout. You got to debrief what you heard, maybe come up with some new questions. There are 3 questions that I still have left to ask Veronica. 2 were actually incredible questions that were submitted by people who are here today. But we want to hear what you all want to know. So I'm going to start this activity. This thing's popping up. This is called Ask a Question. It's like our little brainstorm feature. And if you have questions for Veronica, which I know you do, you're going to write them in this little box. If you have multiple questions, you can hit add response and it will essentially create a bunch of little like virtual post-its. If you don't want to participate, you can hit I'd rather not participate. While folks are filling that out, Veronica, I want to ask you a question that was submitted by someone who's here today. If this was you, please reveal yourself because it's such a good question. The question is, in an era when employees feel increasingly replaceable due to technological and economic advances, we all know what we're talking about there. How does centering belonging combat this sense of insecurity experienced by employees? What do you think?
That's a deep question.
Right?
I love it. I love it so much because we can all relate to it, right? Especially for those of us who are in technical companies and kind of feeling the love-hate relationship with technology in that way. I think centering on belonging combats the sense of insecurity for employees because it does just that. It reminds us that we're human, and that we are all experiencing this. You're not alone in these insecurities that you might be facing. I know we have our Thrive ERG here, and they're going to be doing a session next month around imposter syndrome and the insecurity and the things that come up for us just as humans. I think surfacing those concerns, being verbal about them with like your people success team, which we call our HR here, human resources, bubbling those things up is important because you want to make sure that you're able to say the things that you feel and then either get the reassurance like, well, we can't replace you because of X, Y, and Z, or get the encouragement to be like, well, here's some things that you can do to make yourself even more bulletproof, for lack of a better word, right? When it comes to your role in your career.
Right. So it's not just kind of empty words to reassure people. It's also actually helping them in this new area. Okay, folks, so you'll see all the questions that have been submitted. If you want to quickly go through and thumbs up the ones that you most want to hear, I want to just do like 4-minute rapid fire, kind of get as many of these questions answered as possible. So go ahead and upvote the ones you guys really want to hear. And I'm going to go through them one by one. Okay, I love this question. Erica submitted this one. How can one get the message of belonging across to those who need to hear it the most? What do you think?
Well, I guess that really depends, right? What processes do you already have in place in your company? So if you do have employee resource groups, start there, right? Start with the resource groups, start getting that message out to those who are, raising their hands and being like, I want to be a part of a community. I want to be a part of a sense of belonging. And then also pivot your mind because it's not just underrepresented communities that need belonging. It's everybody. It's what we talked about in the beginning, making sure belonging is relevant for everyone at your company. So start with what you have and then go out from there.
Love that. practices, company policies or practices that could be improved to enhance sense of belonging in a global, remote-first company, especially for marginalized employees? What do you think?
So I think this is also a great question. When I think about company policies, some of the things that we do at Coinbase that I really value that our executive team has really pushed is connection.
Yeah.
Because global, remote first, it's a beautiful thing, but it's also a challenging thing when you're dealing with time zones, when you're dealing with just cultural differences, right? All of those things come into the pot when you say you raise your hand, you're going to be a global remote first company. So prioritizing connection, whether that's through stipends or giving folks opportunities to get together in person is really nice. If you can do that in your company, if you are working remote, try to find once or twice a year where people can get together. It will go a long way in establishing a sense of belonging.
Love that. This is maybe too big of one. If you have like a quick answer to this, Coinbase obviously is a very different path when it comes to DEI and workplace culture than other Silicon Valley companies. I know we don't have time to dig into the whole story here, but tell us more about that and what you've experienced.
Well, good news is I will have a blog being released shortly-ish.
There we go.
That will explain more about this. But the one thing I will say is that focusing on a mission actually increases belonging. So that was where we pivoted. We said we're going to focus on mission first.
Yeah.
That was understood in many different ways, but what it ended up doing was bringing us together.
Yeah. Makes sense because that's people have common ground. You're there together to work on the mission. It's like it's ultimate connected concept. How has your ideas around belonging changed since remote work has increased?
I don't know that my ideas around belonging have changed. I pretty much believe the same thing I always have about it, that it's universal and that it matters.
Yeah.
I think what has changed or been enhanced, and I don't know if this is necessarily due to remote work, but it's actually the data and proving what I've always known about belonging in my heart and soul, and now having the data to back it up to show that it is going to give you those better work outcomes. People are going to be more productive, which is helpful in a remote first environment, right? When people aren't necessarily always together, you can use belonging to sort of push people in those ways that you want them to go.
I love that. I'm going to skip this one. I wanted to frame this question here, but I think your blog post is going to cover some of this. This is what I was referencing to. I think it's a great question, Lauren. And my sense is that Coinbase folks are like very happy to talk about this, but your blog post will cover some of this too. So we'll send this out when it's live.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm going to do like 2 more questions and then we have a couple more things we want to do together. What is one way to keep accountability on belonging? Sounds like the surveys are a big thing.
Yeah, I think the surveys are a big thing, and open dialogue, open communication with employees back to HR is really important as well.
Okay, this one I love. How do you engage people to step up and lead initiatives so not everything comes from the people team? Yeah, how do you have these amazing ERG leads?
It's a miracle. I mean, I just love them all so much. So I think that I wish I had a more succinct answer for this, but I think it starts with the leader, right? I think people know that I'm a very authentic and genuine person, and I deeply care. So as a leader, you start with that, and then you just find your people. You put out there, hey, this is what I would like. These are the responsibilities. These are the benefits that you receive. Would you like to join me on this?
Yeah.
And then when you bring them in, help support them and give them the resources that they need so that they can become an extension of what you're doing on the people team.
One thing I think a lot about with ERGs, so every company has these people that are sort of if you were to map the cultural network or the social network within the company, there are these people that are the sort of hubs. And companies that don't have ERGs, those people are actually invisible. And their work is invisible. They're not recognized, they're not given the resources, they're not seen. And that's such a problem. So ERGs often formalize and give a title and recognition and resources to the kinds of people that would otherwise be doing that sort of culture keeping work regardless. So if your companies are of a size where you could have ERGs and you maybe don't yet, I really think that formalizing it and giving people the recognition, the responsibility is essential. If you don't have time or you're not the right size, just making that work part of people's job descriptions. Like we have a person at our company who is such a culture keeper. And so part of her job description has a section that's all about culture and engaging people. Okay, we're gonna end with a little knowledge. So the pillars of belonging.
Oh, awesome.
I'm going to share a slide, and maybe Veronica, you can walk us through it.
Yes.
You have this beautiful slide that kind of walks us through belonging at Coinbase. And here it is. Walk us through this to sort of end with something a bit more actionable. And then we're going to ask you all to commit to some next steps. But walk us through this.
Yeah, so this is actually informed by the Workplace Achievers Institute, their research on the 5 pillars of belonging. So basically, belonging can be built. It's not just something that's like ethereal, like whether you belong or not. If you don't feel like you belong, or you know that there's groups within your company that are struggling, here are some ways that you can do it. And even if you're not struggling, you're like, how do I start this? This is a great way. So there are 5 things that you can focus on. Welcoming folks into your organization, not just only as new hires, that could be like the love bomb emails, right? Like, oh, we're so happy you're here. But also too, when people change teams, when they change departments, when they get a promotion, when they're like, when something is different, welcoming them in, making time for one-to-ones and coffee chats, those things go a long way. Being known, which is what I talked about, which is what many of us talked about, like being able to feel like I can come to work, I can be myself, being understood for who you are. It's great when you make a culture where it's safe for people to share, again, their recognition preferences, their milestones, and even their cultural traditions. Inclusion, super important. I love this thinking of, you know what I know. I always love people who are willing to bring you along in the journey and work collaboratively with you, sharing resources, etc. And support, right? Foundation, advocating for, valuing others, using your employee resource groups if you have them, and certainly relying on your internal HR policies, whether that's, fertility benefits for the LGBTQ plus community, right? There's different things that we can do on an HR side to really make sure people feel supported. And then finally, that connection piece, which you cannot underestimate, especially in a remote environment. Really keeping people engaged, keeping that vibe up, creating that sense of community, really utilizing your available resources, or asking your HR team to create some resources so that people can connect. And then on your teams, individually, creating those connection rituals, whether that's a weekly lunch or a quarterly hangout, something that can get your team sort of out of the day-to-day routine and connecting together.
This is so good. We will send you all this slide after, so you don't need to scramble to take your screenshot, because this is just incredible. One thing I always will promise you at Gatheround, we will always end our meetings on time, because everything is structured and we have a plan. We will get you out of here in 2 minutes, believe it or not. We're going to have one last thing that we do, and then Marcy's going to say thank you and send us on our way, which is, I want to know what you heard today and what you want to do differently based off of all of the incredible insights. Whether you are a CEO, a new employee, a small business owner, an ERG lead, there is something you can do to create more belonging at work. And you heard a bunch of good ideas and interesting insights from Veronica. So please make your commitments to us now. How might you take a step towards creating more belonging at work in the next month? And you already know this feature. You put the thing in the box, you hit submit. I want to hear what you all want to do differently. I'm going to think about this one too. And Veronica, if there's something new you want to fill out, please do submit it. All right. Hit I'm done when you're done. We're going to run through these great ideas. And Marcy, I'm going to pin you to bring us home and to properly thank Veronica with me. Okay, people are going to learn more about work appreciation languages. We have a template for that if you want it. Marcy can send it out. Have coffee with someone you don't know. Pay forward and being more consistent. Revisit recognition preferences. Be more present in the office and promote our EOGs. Publish your blog and gain more senior leadership buy-in for belonging. Yes. Listen to people. Provide support. Engage in recognition the way people want it. The first thing is to talk honestly with my partners to understand their vulnerability and how to support them. Reconsider how the day-to-day moments impact employee engagement. Onboarding questionnaire. Think about ways to make belonging initiatives more engaging and interactive. Reconsider how day-to-day moments impact employee engagement. Someone else is flipping. There we go. Belonging check-ins and focus groups. Oh, you're doing it too, Veronica? No, it's great. Wow. What an hour. This was incredible. Marcy, take us home. Thank you, Veronica, so freaking much. This was amazing.
That was amazing. Thank you both. Veronica, I feel so lucky that we know you and we got to hear from you today. I seriously, everything you shared, I wanted to paste on a t-shirt and wear it around. Okay, last thing we're going to do today is take a group picture because we belong together. Sorry, I know that's cheesy. So if you don't want your picture taken, don't press join activity, but I would love for everyone to join. It'll take about 10 seconds and then we'll wrap up for the day. So I will see you in a photo booth in about 10 seconds. Welcome back. I realized I forgot to change the prompt. So it said you're nominated for Exec of the Year. Anyways, I hope y'all had fun today. We have a bunch of community events, so I will send you information on how to come to the next one in June. But thank y'all so much. And thank you again, Veronica and Lisa, for hosting today. That was such a wonderful conversation.
You're incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Talk to you all soon.
Bye. Have a good day.